They came for me just as the sun broke over the ridge. 3 black SUVs crawling up the gravel road, crunching stones beneath their tires like a swarm of corporate cockroaches. I was sitting on my porch, sipping black coffee, boots propped on the railing, when the so-called HOA security team rolled up like they were raiding a cartel base. Problem was, this isn't a gated community. They were trespassing on my land. I live deep in the Tennessee hills, surrounded by 50 acres of pine woods and creek beds, the kind of quiet you only get when every inch around you belongs to you. My lakefront ranch has been in my family for generations, built by my grandfather's bare hands. For the past year, I've been tangled in a petty feud with the HOA from the McMansion development down the road, all because their property line just grazes one corner of my woods. Ever since then, they've been trying to tell me what to do with my land. It started with letters, snide little notices about unauthorized structures, and visual pollution from my dock. Then came the fines I ignored, the threats I tossed in the fire pit. I figured they'd eventually get tired. But today, they leveled up. The so-called security team stepped out wearing combat boots and mirrored shades, radios clipped to their shoulders like they were on a special ops mission. One of them even had a clipboard. I didn't move, just kept sipping my coffee. "Sir," one of them barked, "we're here to enforce HOA compliance protocols. You're in violation." I laughed. "You're about 6 miles outside your jurisdiction, boys. We have the authority to inspect." Another snapped. That's when I stood up. I'm 6'3", former Army Ranger, built like a fence post. I told them once, "Leave my property. Now!" They didn't listen. They started marching toward my boathouse, and that's when everything went sideways. I didn't swing first, but when one grabbed my arm and said I was detained, instinct kicked in. I spun him around, drove a knee into his thigh, and swept his legs out from under him. He hit the ground screaming. Another reached for something on his belt, pepper spray, maybe, but I stepped in close, twisted his wrist, and dropped him into the grass with an elbow to the ribs. The third guy took off running for the SUV. I let him go. The 2 left behind were crawling and groaning, one clutching his leg like it snapped. I stood on the porch, arms crossed, watching them crawl back toward their ride like wounded raccoons. Clipboard guy tried to talk tough through the pain. "You assaulted us. We'll press charges." I tilted my head and stared him down. "No, son. You trespassed and laid hands on me. That was self-defense. And trust me, the sheriff knows me a hell of a lot better than he knows you." They didn't say much after that, just dragged themselves into their SUV, clutching radios and nursing their pride. I watched them roll away with a bent bumper and one flat tire. Might have had something to do with the caltrops I left near the gate, just in case they tried something clever. Once they were gone, I called Sheriff Danner. Small-town law, straight shooter, and a friend. He's been to my ranch plenty, usually for coffee and deer jerky, not trouble. "Sheriff," I said, "the HOA security boys tried to detain me on my land. I put 2 of them down. You'll probably get a call." He sighed. "You serious?" "As a heart attack." He didn't scold me or even sound shocked. "All right," he said. "I'll handle it. Don't talk to anyone else. If they file a report, I'll take care of it. Between you and me, they crossed a line." And he was right. What boiled my blood was that this wasn't the first time the HOA poked the bear. It was just the first time they dressed like fake soldiers while doing it. Last month they threatened to sue me for altering the shoreline. The month before that, they demanded access to my private road to inspect erosion control. I told them to inspect a cactus. What they don't understand is this: I don't live in their suburban bubble. I don't answer to lawn committees or weekend warriors with clipboards. My family's land stood here long before their cookie-cutter homes, and it'll still be here when their vinyl siding rots off. But now, they'd crossed the line. Said people to intimidate me. That meant war. I wasn't waiting around for their next move. I had a plan, something big. If they wanted a fight, I'd show them what country justice looks like. For about a week, things went quiet. No SUVs, no letters, no fake citations. But bullies don't quit when you hit back, they just change tactics. Sure enough, a neighbor who lives closer to the development called me one night. Said she'd seen a couple of men snooping near the far edge of my property, by the lake where the trees hide the view. Flashlights, cameras, clipboards. They were casing me again. I didn't get mad. I got clever. See, the back of my ranch dips into a wooded patch by the water, a perfect place for trail cams and a few surprises. That night, with the frogs croaking and wind whispering through the pines, I went to work. First, I wired the floodlights near the boathouse to trip with a motion sensor. Anyone creeping around would light up like a deer on opening day. Then I half-buried some scrap fencing under leaves, just enough to catch a boot and send a man tumbling. Finally, I hid a Bluetooth speaker under the deck that played a recording I got from my buddy's cattle farm. Angry bull snorts, loud and close. 2 nights later, they came back. 2 guys in khakis and vests, flashlights in hand, scribbling notes. They didn't know they were being watched. Then, BAM, the motion sensor hit. Floodlights flared bright. The speaker bellowed bull roars, and one guy screamed like a kid at a haunted hayride. The other tripped on the hidden wire and flipped right into the lake, splashing and cursing. I was watching everything live on my phone, laughing my head off. They didn't call the cops, didn't even report it, they just limped away soaked and humiliated. Next morning, I uploaded the trail cam clip online titled, "HOA inspectors learn what happens when you trespass on a ranch." It went viral in 3 hours. Locals loved it. Even Sheriff Danner called me, laughing so hard he could barely talk. But the HOA? They weren't laughing. That video broke them. Next, they sent lawyers. A shiny shoe guy in a press suit showed up at my gate like he was delivering divine punishment. His name was Brett, something forgettable. He handed me a thick envelope like it might bite. I met him halfway down the drive, axe in hand, not as a threat, just a reminder. "You've been served," he said, smirking. I flipped through the papers. Trespassing, assault, emotional distress, property damage. I let out a whistle. "You boys sure get creative when you're mad." "You'll be hearing from us in court," he snapped. "Oh, I'm counting on it." What he didn't know was I'd already lawyered up months ago. My cousin's a top-tier attorney out of Nashville, and when he read what the HOA had been pulling, he told me 6 words I won't forget. "These clowns are going to hang themselves." Fast forward to court day. The HOA rolled and suited up and smug, ready to bury me in red tape. My cousin walked in carrying a stack of documents, timestamps, and most importantly, video proof. The judge? Local man, son of a farmer, knew the land and the kind of nonsense HOAs bring into rural counties. He watched the footage twice, then asked to replay the part where one inspector fell into the lake. The courtroom roared with laughter. The HOA looked like they swallowed nails. Then my cousin laid out the full history, unauthorized entries, threats, attempted detainment, property maps verified by the county. Their case fell apart like wet paper. The judge dismissed their claims with prejudice, meaning they couldn't file again. Then he fined the HOA for harassment, trespassing, and property damage to my boathouse siding. The HOA president turned beet red. Brett slunk away like a possum that lost a fight with a rooster. It was over. The next morning, I posted one final video, A slow sunrise pan over the lake captioned, "To all HOA folks who think they own the world, stay off my land. You've been warned." Now the road's quiet, the dock's peaceful, and the only footprints on my land are mine. Still, I keep those caltrips by the gate just in case. When the system fails, a rancher delivers his own justice. If you enjoyed this showdown, hit that like button, drop a comment, and tell me, have you ever stood your ground against bullies like this? Don't forget to subscribe for more real-deal country justice stories. This was only the beginning.